Hey, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the newest Devo release, which you can see here. It is called Nitrous Nightmare, and it's on Futurismo Records, which is not surprising. There's a title. And what this is their Halloween 1975 live show. And if you know much about the mythology of Devo or the lore behind Devo, this is a really notorious show, and we've known about this show since at least 1991 when this CD came out, because this CD has the WHK radio concert Halloween 1975, and there's some liner notes in here that kind of give they tell the tale of what this show was all about. And this CD was really only the partial performance. This is only about 25 minutes of recording here, whereas this new release is an hour and 22 minutes long. You can see how much longer the track list is there. And this is a really famous Devo show for a lot of reasons. This is one of their, I don't know if it's their third show. I don't think so. I think they played earlier in 75 at least. Maybe it was the Pink Flamingo show or something like that. But I think they only had one show in 73, one show in 74. And then most of the bootlegs that are out there start in like 77. You really don't hear a lot of stuff prior to 77. And Peter Konheim is the man kind of behind this restoration project. He's been spending the last several years now digging deep into Devo's archives and pulling everything and saving everything he can. He did a big video restoration project last year, and probably his most the biggest thing he did was this Art Devo set, which was also put out by Futurismo. And I did a little video on this, but this is a 3-record set, 3 LP and 145, and it's 1973 to 77. This is a mixture of demos and live stuff from like 74 is on here, and all this stuff. And as he was going through and doing this project, he had this whole show, and for years nobody ever knew if this whole show even existed or what the deal with it was, what the real story was. And it's kind of just been, it's been talked up enough that like nobody really knows what the real story with this show was. And there's all sorts of rumors about this show. The rumor was that this is the first time they played Jocko Homo, which is true. The version on this disc is only like 6.5 minutes long, and the rumor was that it was played for 30 minutes and they cut it down for this. But this has the full performance on it. It is 12 minutes long. It's awesome. It's twice as long as this one, and even though it's not 30 minutes, that may have been exaggerated. It's still an awesome performance. And the rumor was that they got thrown off the stage. Basically, this show they were opening for Sun Ra, and they were hired as a joke, is what they say. They were hired as a cover band, and then they show up and just start playing Devo stuff, and the crowd is high on nitrous oxide, and they basically are fighting the crowd the whole time. And that all seems to be pretty much true. Like, that is all, you hear all that stuff on this release, and you heard some of it on the CD as well. But there's so much cool there's so many tracks on this where it is either the first time they played it or the last time they played it. And I'll go through the track list later, but like, Secret Agent Man, I'm pretty sure this is the first time they played that. It's the first time they played Jocko Homo. But then you have stuff on here like Chango and like Buttered Beauties and Fraulein and stuff. And like, to have a show that has their staple songs like Secret Agent Man and Jocko Homo mixed in with that stuff that was like previously only heard on 1974 demos is just crazy. Okay, so this release makes a really good companion to the Art Devo set if you have that. I would say the Art Devo set is a better value, especially right now. You can buy that for like $60 on Amazon, and it's a 3-disc set, whereas this is like, once you get it to America, it's like $75, and it's a 2-disc set. So if you're only going to get one, I would say the Art Devo set is the one to get. But this is like a dream release for me. I've said for years, like, you know, I got into Devo probably as a teenager. It was probably like 2004. And I very, very early on heard this CD, and I was just enamored by this 1975 show. It was like an entirely different band playing. Like there's songs on here. Beulah, the only place this song shows up is on this CD. There's no demo of it. There's no record of them playing it. Technically, there's kind of a instrumental demo now out there, but so I think I made, back when I made a video talking about Art Devo, I think I may have mentioned that this would be my dream release, and I was hoping that these tapes existed. It would be cool if someday they would put out the Mongoloid Years on vinyl, maybe if they found the rest of that 1975 show. In fact, I think like 10 years ago, I tweeted at Jerry Casale and asked him if he knew anything about this show and the state of its archives, which probably wasn't the right person to ask, but, you know, Jerry responds to people on Twitter and Mark does not really. So, and he said, I think he said he doesn't know about it if it does exist, but it would be cool. And he wasn't wrong. This is this is one of the coolest releases, just in terms of content that I've seen. And like I said, I would have always said, if you asked me at any time what would be my dream release, it would be this show. And so I was happy to pay $77 to import this to America, because this is really something special to me. So let's do a quick little unboxing here. Unfortunately, it's not a gatefold. You know, for the price, I probably would have liked to see a little more substantial package, like kind of like the Art Devo set, but you know, I'm not going to complain. It's really the content that matters here. Unfortunately, I don't think they have any like photos from this show that exist, but you've got some cool artwork here. There are some great liner notes here from Jerry. And I will say that these liner notes, I read through them, and then I read through the CD, and then I listened to it. And these liner notes seem very accurate. You know, this CD, the liner notes are really like talking up the legend of this show, which you could do because nobody could really hear it. But now that we have the whole show, like, this is a much more realistic retelling of that event. And what he describes in here is what you hear on the tape. Like, you know, they talk about people throwing beer cans at him. You hear people throwing beer cans at him and on there, and it's great. And so, you know, the myth was always that, you know, they were opening for Sun Ra, and Sun Ra never even got to go on and play afterwards because Devo had driven the whole crowd away, which doesn't seem to be true. You know, you get to the end of this set and you hear a few people still clapping and stuff. Jerry talks about they went and they left the concert and they went and got some food and they came back and watched Sun Ra's show, and there was barely any people there, but he did perform. So you see an early picture of the Chinaman character there. They did like a Halloween theme to this, which is good. Considering they don't really have any images or footage from this event, I think this is a really cool graphic design. You got Boogie Boy with Frankenstein's monster there. And it really plays into the whole Halloween theme, which, you know, the band went up on stage with masks on. They at the time they leaned into the Halloween thing, you know. The other one is just purple. I thought this was the coolest color. I think this is like the Futurismo exclusive color, which I figure I might as well get if I'm going to be ordering from them directly, right? I was trying to figure out, I don't know what that scratched out word is. It looks like sex something. A typical something audience. This is the lyrics to Bamboo Bimbo, looks like. How low can you go? I saw something where, I don't know if it was in these liner notes, but that was kind of Devo's slogan, I guess, at the time. I don't know. They went to the venue before and hung up posters for themselves that said, like, how low can you go with Devo? And there's a little interlude in this show where they say that as well. So yeah, as far as the packaging goes, I will say I'm a little bit disappointed. I think Futurismo has done better. The Art Devo set, this version I have here is way more expensive than the one that they've released since then. But they have done, like, this was an early one of theirs, Miracle Witness Hour. This is a 1977 show. And this one is like a die cut cover, and it's got this inner sleeve where it's like this, folded like that, like a box. So that one kind of has a gimmick to it, and that was, a lot cheaper than $77. Recumbo DNA is kind of like this one where it has a fold out, and then it's just a extra thick sleeve for the 3 vinyl in there. But then they did a nice gatefold for easy listening music. And that's probably what I would have liked to see. Like, if you're going to do a double vinyl, I think you got to have a gatefold. But, like I said, this is really a specialty thing. It seems like they priced it higher than they would normally price one of their 2 LP sets. And I don't know, it's not numbered or anything, but I assume they're probably not going to make too many of these. And they did release a CD version, so if you want a more affordable thing, that's always an option. I don't know if it'll come to streaming. I hope it does, because to me, this is like a real historical record here. I think this is so important for the history of the band to get this out there. And the restoration job, I would say it's comparable to the CD, but at the time that they recorded it, like it's really nice quality. The mixing at times, some of the vocals can be low at times. I don't know exactly what mic setup. I think they had a 4-track recorder going. But it sounds great. It sounds better than the Miracle Witness Hour does. I'll say that much. And yeah, I'm going to go through the track list here, and I'll give some thoughts at the end. All right, first up is Secret Agent Man, and this is a hell of a song to start this show with, because as far as I know, Secret Agent Man, the earliest live performance that I could find was 1977, and this is 75, remember. They put out their short film, The Truth About De-Evolution, in 1976, and that had Secret Agent Man on there. There is a demo on the Art Devo collection. See if we can find it. Secret Agent Man, Mark vocal. So that's unusual because, as you know, Bob does the vocals on Secret Agent Man normally. And Bob does the vocals on Secret Agent Man on this show. So I don't know if that demo might predate this show. I would probably guess it does. But at the same time, this version of Secret Agent Man is really crazy. Like, I don't know, they're just like, they play a little, the way they play it is not the way you know it. And, maybe because they're just trying to be wild and crazy, or maybe they just hadn't nailed down exactly how it was going to sound yet. But it's got Bob's vocals on it, and they sound good. Yeah. All right, Subhuman Woman. This is a song that was on the CD, the full version of it. So we have heard this. It is a really rare track. So this is the last known time that they ever performed this, as far as I know. And if I get any of this wrong, let me know. I'm pulling from kind of my archives of bootlegs. I'm pulling a lot of this from the Devo wiki, which is really good, and they keep that updated. And then part of this, I just looked through huboon.com, even though that's not the most up-to-date thing. So Subhuman Woman, they played this at their very first 1973 show. They played this in the 74, the Creative Arts Festival. So as far as like recordings of this is the only, this and the 1974 show are the only recordings ever of this song. I don't believe there's any demo versions of it. Now on this, it's Subhuman Woman, and it goes into a rendition of Chango, and that was also on the CD. There's like a minute long version of Chango on here, and I don't know if I don't think it's cut. I think they just did part of Chango at the end of this, because later on we get a full version of Chango, and it's not the same recording. So I think they just kind of transitioned Subhuman Woman into Chango, and then later on decided to play the whole thing. I think in the past, everyone always thought that this was like a snippet of Chango. It's not even listed on the CD, that it was like a partial performance of it, which it was, but they didn't cut it for the CD, it doesn't seem like. What we get on here is pretty much exactly what was on the CD.
My woman's subhuman. She's got no face. She's bold, she's cold, she's 8 years old. She don't live for the future. She just sits by her side and says, I love you.
Now, as you go through this, you may think that some of these songs are pretty obnoxious. And, that was kind of the point in their early days. It's not that they weren't trying to make good songs, but they did a lot of like screechy noises, and it was very like, Devo was a punk band back then. And this show specifically, they were hired under false pretenses, and they were intentionally trying to piss off the audience. So they played everything a little bit long. They were intentionally obnoxious with some of this stuff, and it makes for a really awesome recording if you're a fan of this kind of stuff. But if you're just the average person listening to music, you'll probably be like, what the hell is this? Okay, so Bamboo Bimbo, that was on the CD as well. This is the only known live performance, so you can say it's the first and the last performance, as far as we know. A lot of these set lists for these early shows that weren't recorded are not super well known, so I can't necessarily say if it's sure, but this is the only known recording of it, aside from a demo that is on the hardcore releases. So there's one demo recording and one live recording, but it's been out there. That was on the CD.
Every single night, well, she still drops that big bomb, cause he's a bamboo bimbo. He fell for it, and everyone knows that he's a bamboo bimbo. Just a monkey with a ring in his nose.
So we got to go low with Devo. This is a kind of intermission. There's a DJ called Murray Saul who gets up there and introduces the band. This part of this is on the CD, although this is probably twice as long. This is like 5 or 6 minutes long. I do want to say that, they could have half-assed this release, but they did not. They could have put this on one vinyl. And they could have cut out, a third of these tracks and all the stage banter and probably fit it on one thing. But they didn't do that. In fact, they didn't even put it on one CD and cut it down to 80 minutes. They kept it at an hour 22, which is 82 minutes, I guess. So, it wouldn't have taken much to fit this on one CD, but it seems like they wanted to put the entire thing on here. And I don't know if this track list is the exact order of how they played it. And I don't know if anything is cut. I don't think any songs were cut, but there is a few points where you kind of notice a cut. And so maybe they're cutting out a little bit of silence or stage shuffling around or anything like that. I don't know. But it does seem like they really treated this with the reverence that it deserved. And they're putting this out as like an archival a record of what really happened. So I'll put a little clip of the DJ on here.
We gotta go low with Devo. What it is?
Okay, Buttered Beauties. This is a really interesting thing to hear. So there is a demo of this on Hardcore, but as far as I know, it's never been performed at any other show. Well, I don't know. It's never been heard. The only version you could have heard until this point is that 1974 demo. So now this is the first live recording of it, and they never performed it later on. They never did it in the 2014 concerts. It's a really unusual song. It's kind of a problematic song, I'd say, and maybe that's why they cut it later on. But so yeah, this is a real rarity, Buttered Beauties.
She's got me by the lever, sticking it out, insinuated leather, sticking it out. I think she broke my tether.
All right, on to I've Been Refused. This is a pretty prolific track from Devo's early days. There's a version on Hardcore from 74. I think there's a 1972 demo. I forget if it's on Art Devo or what. So as far as I know, this is the last known recording of I've Been Refused, played by Devo in the 70s or 80s even. They started to bring it back, like they played it at the Hardcore Devo shows in 2014. Jihad Jerry, which is Jerry's solo project, he did I've Been Refused. But this is one of their earliest songs. I don't remember who wrote it, but yeah, it's a good song, but it's been heard plenty of places.
Then you drop your culottes, real rubber underpants. Sweat was forming in my shoes, but you ended our romance. I've been refused. I lost my shoes.
All right, Auto Mowdown. This is a song that was on, there was a Hardcore demo, and then I have never heard a live version of Auto Mowdown. There might be a recording out there, I just don't have access to it. I'm not entirely sure, but it is pretty rare to hear this, especially live.
Auto Mowdown, noon in downtown, bodies in the street. Auto Mowdown, noon in Youngstown, bodies with no feet.
All right, Space Girl Blues. I have never heard this song live, a live version of this. I found some evidence that they were performing it through 76 and 77, although I don't think it's on any of the bootlegs that I've heard. So maybe it was kind of a sporadic thing they played. But there is a demo on Hardcore Devo, and I believe they brought it back for the 2014 shows as well. Yeah, and I think they even lent this song to Tony Basil for her first album, which Devo played on that. I think they retitled it to something else, but
Space goes as cold as ice. Kiss you once and kiss you twice. You shiver, shake, and then turn blue. Next you got the Space Girl Blues. I need your mechanism.
all right, Smart Patrol. Obviously, Smart Patrol is a staple song of theirs now. This is the earliest recording of it that I've heard. Well, there might be a demo. I don't know if there's a demo on there on from 74 or not, but this predates, normally you would see Smart Patrol / Mr. DNA. This predates Mr. DNA. But the performance on here is pretty tight. It's pretty it's what you're used to, maybe a little slower. One interesting thing is I think Boogie Boy sings on this, and I think they all kind of sing it in character, whatever that means for their other guys. But this is a very early appearance of Boogie Boy. As far as I know, this would be the earliest recording of Boogie Boy, although I believe he was already developed in early 75. So I think he had probably made an appearance in a live show before this. But this should be the first recording of him.
I'm tired of the super show. Then went the world in this prophylactic tour. Afraid nobody around here understands my potato. I think I'm only a spud boy looking for a real tomato.
All right, Fraulein. Fraulein used to be a pretty rare song to hear, but it's since been released on Art Devo. It's shown up in a few places. There's on Hardcore. There's a demo. There's a bootleg from 77 that includes Fraulein. So they did play this past 75. Fraulein uses that old song Powerhouse from, you might know from like Looney Tunes or something. It uses that melody and they put lyrics over it, and it's kind of funny.
Fraulein done told me when I was in Gooseville, said I would gas them, and now I'm a big man.
All right, on to side 2, and they open with Jocko Homo. And this is a really awesome performance. This is by far the longest version of Jocko Homo that you'll be able to hear out there. It's pretty rare to see like 8 or 9 minute versions of Jocko Homo in 1977, but this is 12 minutes. And the version on the CD was, I think, 6.5 minutes. And I was really curious before this came out, how long this was going to be, because they claimed it was 12 minutes, and then I had posted a comment mentioning to Peter Conheim, like, so what's the deal with Jocko Homo? How long is it? And he said it was the same as on the CD, which was disappointing. But then it came out, and it really is 12 minutes long. And you can tell there's probably like 3 or 4 spots where they cut the CD version down. If you're really familiar with the CD version, you'll be able to tell. But this is the song where they really go off the rails. They really try to antagonize people. There are guys that get up on the stage and are calling them names. I'll try to include a clip of something from that. But yeah, Jocko Homo, this is really like the crown jewel of this entire show. Obviously, Jocko Homo went on to be one of their it's like their signature song. I wouldn't say it's their most popular song, obviously, but they've played Jocko Homo probably more times than they've played any song ever, and this is the very first performance of it. It's the longest performance of it. It is aggressive. They are getting in the audience's face. They are trying to piss them off. It just goes on and on. It gets screechy. It's obnoxious. The crowd hates it.
We are Devo, are we not men? We are Devo, are we not men? We are Devo, are we not men? You're not even. Are we not men? Assholes. Are we not men? We are Devo. Is he not a man? We are Devo. Is he not a man? Is he not a man? Is he not a man? He's not a man. Are we not men? They are not men. Are we not men? Are we not men? Off the stage. Stand up. Are we not men? He is Devo. Are we not men? He is Devo.
And then to follow up the madness of this Jocko Homo, they play Shimmy Shake, which is hilarious to me. Shimmy Shake, I have a real reverence for this song. Shimmy Shake is probably the earliest written song on this whole album, and it goes back to the days of the Jitters, which is a kind of pre-Devo band with, God, I don't even know who was in it. I think it was Jim Mothersbaugh, and it was not Jerry or Mark. It predates Devo. The songs, like the Jitters played like the Rolling Stones. It was very like generic sounding, I guess blues rock or whatever. But you know, the lyrics were definitely kind of Devo. They were very crude, and this one's no different. But I love Shimmy Shake. Previously, there was only one known recording of this, live or otherwise, and it wasn't even on an album, I think, until Art Devo came out, and they remastered that bootleg demo, and it sounds great now. But it's Shimmy Shake is probably like the least Devo sounding thing on this whole thing, and they really lean into it because, you know, part of the myth of this is that they were hired as, I don't want to say it's a myth, but the legend of this is that they were hired as a Bad Company cover band. And they kind of lean into that here, because the beginning of this, they say, all right, here's something from Bad Company, or here, they name like 4 different artists, and then they go into Shimmy Shake, and you maybe think like, oh, maybe this is a cover of something. It doesn't really sound like the other stuff. And then you realize it's just their own song. But I always like Shimmy Shake. This performance is really fun. It's just great. I love that this is on here.
Here's a song by Bad Company off their latest album. Can you dig it? No, wait a minute. It's by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Yeah, no, Todd Rundgren. Hey, it's by Lou Reed.
And then after Shimmy Shake, there's actually some great stage banter. I might put a clip in here. All right, then on to Midget / My Lai Mama, or Me Lai Mama. And this one is, you know, Midget is a very well-known song of theirs. It was a demo that was on Hardcore Devo, but they really didn't play it much. You know, Midget was heard on that 1974 Kent Cove show, which is on the Art Devo set. And then, like I said, it's on the Hardcore release. But, you know, Midget got attention later on. They played it, I think, in 2001 maybe, and then they played it at the 2014 shows. It's like a popular one of their hardcore era songs. Me Lai Mama is like, these songs kind of go together, and nobody really realized that until recently, because Me Lai Mama was never heard until the Art Devo set came out. It's kind of a you know, like I said, Midget transitions into it, and they played it at that Kent Cove 1974 show, and then they play it here as well, and it's a good performance of it. But yeah, this is now the second known recording of Me Lai Mama. For some reason, this track here with Me Lai Mama has a really abrupt ending, and I don't know why that is. If maybe there was something wrong with the recording. It didn't seem like it just came to a natural end. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like, it felt long enough that it didn't feel like it was cut. So I don't know, maybe there was just a glitch at the end of it and they had to cut it or something. right, I Need a Chick. This is another one of those hardcore era songs that was pretty popular, or it's pretty well known, I would say. They did play this into like the 76, 77. In fact, there's recordings where Boogie Boy sings it, which is pretty funny. It's one of their most vulgar songs. I don't think they played it in the 2014 shows, maybe because it was a little too vulgar for that. But they definitely played it a lot in the 70s. It was on the CD, so we've heard this version. Although, this one here is like 3 minutes longer. It goes from like 4 minutes to now it's like 7 minutes. It's crazy. It just drones on and on and on. And we get a proper intro to this now, which we didn't get on the CD. The CD did include the banter afterwards, which they have included on here as Beer Can Rebellion, and that's the crowd getting towards the end, getting really fed up with them, and you can hear Mark or someone arguing with, I don't know, a promoter or something, saying that like, hey, we got a band that needs to come on the stage. You guys got to get out of here. People are throwing beer cans at you. So I'll see if I can put a clip in of that if I can get a good sample of that.
There's another band waiting to go on. Everybody's been throwing beer cans at these people and all kinds of shit.
Why don't you get out of here?
Well,
I'm telling you to get out of here.
You're gonna do it?
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
One thing to note, on the CD, this banter is the end of the show, and it kind of implies that this ends with them pulling the plug on him. And I think there's even some banter in here where Jerry says, like, I'll pull the plug on you. And the guy's like, let's take it outside. It's pretty funny. But, you know, now it can be told that that was not the end of the show. They did not pull the plug on Devo. They went on and played a few songs after that, and it came to like a more natural end to the show. All right, Baby Talking Bitches. This is another pretty rare one. This is on Hardcore Devo, and then they played this at the 2014 shows. But as far as recordings from back in the day, this is the only known live recording of Baby Talking Bitches. And this was not on the CD, so this is the first time we're hearing a live version of Baby Talking Bitches. It's okay, I guess.
Soft inside, we do not like you many ways, and we could do without you for days. Baby talking bitches, down without fun.
All right, now we are on to Chango, and this is crazy. This is, you know, I mentioned we got a little bit of Chango earlier on here, and we heard a little bit of Chango on the CD as well. But I don't think anybody realized that they played a full version of Chango at this show. It's like 5 minutes long. It's you know, Chango is a song that really only existed on the Hardcore Devo releases, and then that little snippet on the CD. This is now the only known live recording of Chango, I would say. And they play the whole thing. They get to the lyrics at the end, which we didn't hear that earlier either. Lyrically, this is one of Devo's weirdest songs of all time. You know, I think it's Jerry sings it in like I don't know if it's like a Ugandan accent or something. He's saying wacky stuff. I don't know, maybe a little problematic, who knows, but it's very like, I don't know what instruments they use. Maybe it's the clavinet or something, but it's mostly an instrumental until there's a little bit of spoken word at the end. And there's a melody in this that it blew my mind when I listened to this for the first time, because Chango uses the melody that they later used in the song Plain Truth, which is on Total Devo, which I absolutely love that song. It's one of my favorite songs of theirs, which is weird for me because I don't really care for that album or really any of their later stuff. But I never realized, even in the hardcore Devo release, even in the demo version of this, that melody is played, but it's so distorted that I never realized. But you can really tell on this one that that is that melody, and it was like I had like an epiphany listening to this. It was crazy. But this is a really fun song. It's probably like the most devolved thing they do in this show. All right, and then it ends with Beulah. And Beulah is a very interesting track because this is probably the rarest song on this whole thing. So this is the only known recording of Beulah, period. There's no demo version of this. On the Art Devo bonus 45, there is an instrumental version of Beulah. Although it doesn't have that name, it's just untitled or something. But if you know what you're listening for, you can tell it's Beulah. And then they did go on and rework this song as the song, they called it Jesus, and they played it in 1979 when they would come out and open for themselves as Dove, the band of love. You kind of rearrange the letters in Dove to get Devo. Get it? But, this was heard on the CD. There's nothing different here. It's... although one thing is they do say at the beginning of this, and it always confused me. Jerry goes, here's one from Jerry and the Pacemakers, 1965 or something like that. And this is obviously not a cover of a Jerry and the Pacemakers song, but going back to when they were introducing Shimmy Shake and they were joking about this is a cover of this is a cover of this, I think that's kind of what they were continuing to do when they made that joke. So it makes a lot more sense to me now why he said that. When I was a kid, I really did think this was a Jerry and the Pacemakers song because I listened to this CD so often. But now as an adult, it's like, obviously it's not Jerry and the Pacemakers. It sounds nothing like them. They would never write a song like that.
And when I wake up in the morning, you look so good, naked. And when I wake up in the morning, you feel so good. You love, you are so beautiful,
All right, so that's Nitrous Nightmare. I stand by this when I say that this is my favorite Devo release of all time. I don't think it will ever be topped. This if you would have asked me at any point in the last 20 years, what's my dream release, it is this. And they did it justice. The only thing I can complain about is I wish, they could have packaged it a little better for the price, or they could have made it a little cheaper. But, I support everything Futurismo does with Devo. They have produced so many great releases that would have never seen the light of day otherwise. Peter Konheim deserves all the respect in the world because he has the amount of work he's done with pulling these old tapes and just the Art Devo set in general. Like the way that was produced is crazy. Devo is a band that you wouldn't necessarily think would get this treatment, but they have, and for their fans, it's awesome. I do hope that someday they can release this in a cheaper version, but until then, you can always buy the CD, and who knows, maybe they'll produce it it's not numbered or anything, so I don't really know why it's so expensive, but maybe they'll release a just a standard gatefold or something later on that's maybe a little cheaper or something. So anyway, that's all I got to say, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much.